I believe to have a smooth filming process and a smooth production, you have to prep. You have to shot list, you have to storyboard.
Part of my favorite part of the filmmaking process really is the planning stage, which is just the stage where everything's hypothetical and you picture what the film can look like. And then you come on set and you bring actors into it and everything changes. But there's something magical about that, and I love the spontaneity of it and having those plans but then being able to throw them out. The challenge that we wanted to set for ourselves was to show the camera not just from a technical standpoint, but to show it in a context of how it could be utilized to tell a story. Fujifilm gave us the opportunity to use GFX Eterna for the first time in a production environment.
It takes a lot of guts for a company to give artists kind of creative control on something, especially when you're launching a product. So for them to go to Oren and say, hey, go make something to show off GFX Eterna, and then for Oren to come to me and say, hey, let's go tell a story. Let's not just make a sizzle reel that shows off what this camera can do, but let's actually make something that's emotional. That's an even bigger step.
At 11, I've never stopped out at 11. I am now.
To me, there's nothing more universal than grief. I'm interested in the ocean as an image for grief. The ebb and flow is meant to represent the undulation of how we feel when we lose somebody. And I wanted that motif to ebb and flow throughout the film, and the journey of this woman who's trying to keep a hold of the memory of her husband.
We designed the short, first and foremost, to tell a really compelling and emotional story, but I, as a DP, had an ulterior motive to try and put in as many different kind of lighting and color scenarios as possible to really kind of see what the camera was capable of. To showcase the full potential of the open gate sensor of the camera, we decided to use two different formats and shoot certain aspects of this film in spherical and certain in anamorphic. And I thought that was a really great way to show kind of the two different states of being and the states of mind. And what was really great about the sensors, because it's a 4:3 aspect ratio in open gate, it really allows you to both create that intimacy with spherical lenses and create that kind of square, boxy, kind of Bergman, Tarkovsky ratio. But then when you put the anamorphic lenses on them, especially with a 2x D-squeeze, you get that widescreen, CinemaScope, Spielberg ratio. So when you de-squeeze them, you're getting the full height and the full width of the sensor, and it just looks so epic. Our first and really exciting challenge was finding lenses that covered the sensor from the motion picture world, which is not a given. But we were really excited that we found the Fujica lenses from the 1970s, which were Fujifilm medium format lenses. We also set out on our journey to find anamorphic lenses that we squeeze into the anamorphic ratio while taking advantage of full open gate height. So we ended up settling on the Zelmis Apollo anamorphics because we really liked the kind of vintage 1970s, almost sort of Panavision aesthetic. One of the really cool things with the large format sensor is that when combined with certain lenses and focal lengths on the wider end that are able to open to wider apertures, you're able to kind of unlock this very shallow depth of field look. And for this film in particular, being a story about a very isolated character who's going through grief, it felt like a really, really appropriate and potent use of that look and utilizing the shallow depth of field approach to kind of isolate her from the environment and create very kind of striking compositions. The loft space in our film was definitely the most challenging environment that we filmed in. It was very small and very, very cramped, and made even smaller by Darcy, our production designer's incredible design work to add all the machinery on the sides that did shrink the room by another 6 inches.
We came in here and it just kind of spoke to us. Something about it felt right. And of course, it fit with the geometry of the house below, and there was symmetry to it that we loved. Initially, we thought we'd shoot this scene very methodical and locked down as we first discovered this environment. But then we're like, no, what if we shot it wide angle, handheld, and the first time we discover it, we're just walking up with her, handheld into this space, and we hear all these machines making all this sound, and we're just seeing all these lights flicker and everything.
What was really key in the design was building the practicals into the set. That was part of the design from the start, was inspired by Alien and Star Wars and some of these other sci-fi films from the 1970s. My plan was to really just use those lights as the light source for that room as much as possible. We sprinkled a few other practicals around, some lamps here and there. There were some bulbs in the ceiling. They were all placed strategically based on where we sort of knew the character was going to roughly hang out, essentially. The loft is meant to represent her heart and her hope and her connection to her lost husband. So it was meant to feel very warm and very colorful and very hopeful. So we wanted to get as much color in there as possible and to really lean into this warmth. My hope was that this is where GFX Eterna was really going to shine with its color rendition. We were still really able to retain the skin tone separation and really subtleties in different color light sources on the skin. And I think being able to see that even within the internal codec, and this isn't even getting into recording raw externally, I think was just a really impressive standout of the camera's performance. We placed a single Nanlux 2400 unit just outside the window on a stand. Our gaffer just dimmed it up as it sort of came on and blasted the room with a single light. And we had some atmospheric haze and everything, and you know that created this nice kind of cool light contrast to all the warmth inside, and really gave it that blue that we really wanted. The dual ISO allowed us to do that, to have the light look very bright on camera, but in reality, if you were standing in the room, it was bright, but it wasn't blinding. I was really excited to see how GFX Eterna was going to kind of handle the difference in exposure between the inside and the outside. You walk into a location like this, and one of the first thoughts is like, we have scenes that take place indoors in this space, and then you have these big bright windows. There's an initial nervousness of making sure that we're going to be able to maintain the exposure inside while still capturing the glory of this view. But in initial testing, it became very apparent that the dynamic range of the camera is more than capable of holding both at the same time. My hope and goal was to get silhouettes of the characters against the big windows that would pop out from the background against the sort of setting sun. The contrast that turned out in that scene I thought was really, really beautiful, and I thought the camera captured it so well. The firelight in the foreground, that really, really deep orange, contrasted against the very vivid blue sky of last light against the windows, I think created exactly the silhouette that we wanted.
There's a reason so many movies film around the ocean or integrate water in some way. It's just, there's something innately visually stunning and striking and epic about it.
The coastal scenes in the film, I think, were the most sort of loose. We would strip the crew down to a bare minimum, and all of those scenes were shot handheld with a very skeleton crew approach. Andrew and I would always call a lot of them the Andrei Tarkovsky shots. Like, it was just us kind of following the characters around, or the Terrence Malick shots, where we're kind of just improvising with the actors kind of out on the beach shooting 360. I I think that was a real stress test for the camera in terms of exposure as well, but it really held up very impressively in very different lighting scenarios.
Oh my gosh, it really is, huh?
Like the fireplace, I think we were really just impressed with the level of depth and texture of the firelight on the characters' faces that was captured by the sensor and retained in the log image. I think the way the camera and the F-Log manages to capture and retain color information, color separation, subtleties and nuances in skin tone and separation from different mixtures of color temperatures, I think was really, really subtle stuff. Even though the internal codec is only a 422 color bit depth, there's still so much richness and depth in that color information that we were just really, really impressed, both myself and the colorists we worked with at Photochem and everybody else who looked at the footage at how much information was there and how much we were really able to capture. In the color grade, we were able to sit with Claire, our colorist, and actually pull a lot of really great color information out of the sky in a lot of the sunset and dusk shots to kind of really make those scenes come to life a little bit more.
This movie is very much a blend of the things that we love about cinema.
When we conceptualized the film, the idea was to come up with something from a storytelling standpoint that kind of straddled both worlds. That was artistic and emotional, but also epic in scope and scale, and you kind of got a little bit of a taste of both.